Hi everyone, this is Jordan with the No Cube Zone, and today I'm going to be reviewing Guildmaster. Guildmaster was sent to us by the publisher Good Games Publishing. Guildmaster is designed by Chris Antony, art is by Andrew Bosley, Aleksander Mihajlovic, and Daniel Orce. Guildmaster is a game for 2 to 4 players. It plays in about 90 minutes. The game is played over 9 rounds, and the player with the most points at the end of 9 rounds is the winner. In Guildmaster, you're going to be in charge of a fantasy guild. Think of something like in Dungeons and Dragons. Throughout the game, you'll be sending adventurers from your guild out to complete quests, hire new, more skilled adventurers, and to build buildings that will give you ability upgrades, as well as some buildings that will give you end game point scoring opportunities. At the start of the game, everyone starts with 4 novice adventurers. These adventurers are going to be somewhat skilled in one of the 6 skills. Skills include might, guile, arcane, wisdom. Again, think like Dungeons and Dragons kind of skills. This is determined based on the number of players. There are certain skill matchings that the rulebook suggests. So each adventuring guild will have some adventurers that are somewhat skilled in one of the 6 different skill abilities. At the start of a given round, you will have all of your adventurers in your hand, and you'll be assigning those adventurers to some priority spots. You have a board in your guild that you'll put a screen over, so this is all done in secret. But you'll be assigning adventurers to spot 1, spot 2, spot 3, and spot 4. I should say spot 3 and spot 4 once you've completed those upgrades. At the start of the game, you're only able to send 2 adventurers on up to 2 different missions. So you'll start by assigning your adventurers, and then you'll also assign a card from a hand of cards that you have to dictate where those adventurers are going. Are they going to go hire builders for you? Are they going to try and hire a new adventurer for you? Or are they going to attempt to complete a quest? I'll start with the first, which is builders. If you send adventurers out to attempt to complete or to hire builders, you'll want to send them with money because you're going to be hiring builders. There's a track on the main board that shows the current cost for builders. The first builder that's hired will be hired for 2 coin. After that, then it goes up to 3 coin. It's 3 coin for a couple, and then it goes up to 4 coin, and then it goes up to 5 coin. The first person to get there gets to hire the builders for a lower cost. So going to build buildings first can be important if you are limited on the money that you have or the money that you're able to send with your adventurers. If 2 players send adventurers to hire builders at the same time, then to dictate priority order, what you'll do is you'll have a dice roll-off based on a skill that the adventurers share. The skill checks all work the same. You'll look at your adventurers. Some of the skill checks will be dictated on what skill you're looking at, and some you're allowed to choose. On hiring builders, you're allowed to choose. So you can choose your adventurers' skills. So if an adventurer has a 3 skill in arcane and another adventurer that you sent has a 2 skill in arcane, you'll roll 5 die. The other guildmaster would do the same. Whoever has the higher dice roll would get to hire builders first. So in this instance, you may want to send some extra money than what you actually need with your adventurers in case someone beats you to it or someone is able to prevail in a dice roll-off against you. When you're hiring builders, you'll hire a certain number of builders based on the skill upgrade that you're looking to go for or the building that you're attempting to build. You can upgrade your base abilities for your adventuring guild. You can upgrade your stables, which will allow you to send more adventuring teams out. That'll allow you those 3rd and 4th spots that I talked about a little bit ago. You can upgrade your mess hall, which will allow you to send more adventurers on a mission. So you can send, if you upgrade the first upgrade, will allow you can send 3 adventurers out instead of just the base 2. And the third upgrade that you can make to your adventuring guild is to upgrade your bar. The bar is going to give you a set income at the end of the round, so you can get more coin to build more buildings. Another thing that you can do with the hiring builders is you can get more of the skill upgrades. So like I said before, each guild is going to be kind of specialized in a skill. There will be a set of tiles that you can buy that will allow you to mitigate some dice rolls in those skills that were pre-selected at the start of the game. So if there is might and wisdom out there, you can buy some upgrades so that you mitigate some dice rolls in might or wisdom. You can buy the skill upgrades for the abilities that were pre-generated for another guild if you're trying to complete some of those quests. Those tiles are double-sided, and you can choose on, do you want to be able to re-roll 2 dice, or do you want to be able to change one die face automatically to a 5 after you roll? You can have up to 4 of these, and they can stack as far as their abilities are concerned. So the last thing you can do with buildings is you can hire these crescent moon-shaped buildings that will give you abilities, point scoring abilities or opportunities at the end of the game. Each guild can build one of these. Some of them will be every 5 coins is worth 5 points, or some of them will give you points based on sets of adventures that you collect. Some of them will give you points on number of quests that you're able to complete. So that's building. The next thing that you can send your adventurers out to complete missions on is to hire new adventurers. The adventurers that you start with are considered novice adventurers. You can hire adept adventurers. Those are going to be a little more skilled. They'll have a little more higher numbers on their skill checks, and they might have some special abilities depending on what phase of the moon it is, and I'll get to the phase of the moon in a minute. Then after the adept, you have heroic adventurers, which are even better than the adepts. And last, you have legendary, which, as the name implies, are legendarily skilled and have some great abilities and player powers that let you kind of bend and break the rules of the game a little bit to give you kind of an advantage. Depending on the phase of the moon, again, I know we'll get there, I promise. The phase of the moon will depend on, that will dictate what the cost of the base cost of what that adventurer will be willing to accept as their payment to come work for your guild. The adepts are going to be a little cheaper. The heroics will be a little bit more, and the legendary is quite expensive. Again, you'll be assigning your adventurers to go out and try and hire these adventurers to join your guild. The thing is, your novice adventurers can get a seat at the table with an adept adventurer, but a heroic adventurer doesn't want to associate themselves with only novice adventurers. You'll need at least one adept adventurer to go with your novices to have enough clout to get a seat at the table with a heroic adventurer. And the same is true for the legendary adventurers. They don't want to be seen with just normal novice and even adept adventurers. They're legends. They're legends. They want to only associate themselves with someone who's at least a heroic status. You'll need someone at least of a heroic status to go hire a legendary adventurer. Like I said, the board and the phases of the moon will dictate the base cost, but they will obviously accept more payment. And it might be a strategic choice to send your adventurers out with a little bit more money to hire those adventurers because, again, in the priority setting, if another guild sends their adventurers out to try and hire the same adventurer at the same time, the adventurer is going to, of course, go with the highest bidder. So if a base cost for an adventure is, say, 7 coin, but you think that the guild across the table from you might be going for that same adventurer, you may send your adventurers out with 9 coin. Maybe a little extra chicken scratch will help bring that adventurer into your guild to have them work for you. Like I said, the adventures are really, the different levels give you different abilities, and I love some of the powers on some of these adventures. Some of the legendary adventurers are just crazy, some of their abilities. So hiring adventurers, very important to what you're doing in the game. The last thing that you can have your adventurers go out to complete is a quest, of course. What guild in a fantasy land isn't going out to send their adventurers to complete quests for them? Now, there are 3 different types of quests. They're going to be common, heroic, and legendary. So the common quests will have common skill checks to complete them. The quest will all have a skill check in one of those 6 skills that we mentioned before. And sometimes the quest will have more than one skill. A mission could be completed with pure muscle and strength, or maybe some cunning could get you through a mission. So depending on what the requirements for the contract are, you can send your adventurers out to complete that. Again, you'll assign that on your board. You'll assign that in priority spots 1 and 2, and if you've unlocked them, spots 3 and 4, when you want to send your adventurers to go complete that quest. You'll want to make sure that you have enough adventurers that you think you can complete that skill check, because obviously you want to get the points and the money reward. And completing quests is a great way to score points, and like we said, most points win, so scoring points is important. Completing quests is important in this game. Something interesting can happen, though, if another adventuring guild sends their adventurers out to the same quest at the same time with the priority seating. So what you would do is, essentially, your adventurers would show up, and their adventurers would show up, and they'd kind of look at each other, and you can make the choice to either cooperate with them and work together, or you can betray the other guild and try and complete the quest by yourself. So how this plays out is, if 2 guilds have sent adventurers at the same time, you would negotiate on the rewards for the contracts. Maybe some person would take the coin reward, the other person would take the card. Maybe they have a reason for collecting the contract card. And then, so you would kind of negotiate what are the agreed terms, and then each player has a green hand and red hand double-sided coin. In secret, you'll decide if you're going to cooperate and work together and uphold the agreement that you just made, or the red hand means you're going to not honor your agreement. You're going to throw some sand in their face or something and go try and complete the quest by yourself. If you choose to cooperate, and then you would everyone rolls all their dice together on the skill checks. And if you meet or exceed the number on the contract, then that is when they would complete the contract and you get the rewards that you agreed on and everyone's happy. If you decide to stab the other person in the back, then your adventurers go attempt the contract by themselves, but you do take a penalty for the stabbing them in the back. You do lose some die for that roll, so you're taking a little bit of a risk, but you're trying to get all of the rewards for that contract by themselves. Now, I know I've talked about there's lots of things can happen if you send people to build, send people to hire adventures, send people to complete a contract. What happens if I had sent my adventurers out to hire an adventurer in my second spot on the board, and someone else in their first spot, they hired that adventurer and they're gone? Well, you have 2 options on your turn when your adventurers are without something to do, or you can just assign your adventurers on your board to go attempt one of these 2 things anyways. You can wander, and wandering means that you would pick a skill, you'll roll the set number of die, and then there's a chart that will give you points and coin based on the roll for your wandering. The second thing you can attempt is you'll have some private contracts that you'll start the game with, and you'll obtain some more throughout the game. You can assign your adventurers to attempt a private contract. You know that you won't have to compete on those. So you can attempt those to get those rewards and those money bonuses. Now, I've alluded to the moon phases. So, like I said, there are 9 rounds in the game. Every round will have either a dark moon or a full moon, and then on rounds 3, 6, and 9, there will be a blood moon. The phases of the moon will dictate there are certain player or character abilities on cards that will trigger during certain phases of the moon. So some adventurers have certain skills during a full moon that they don't during a normal moon. Some adventurers will have skills during a not full moon or a dark moon that they wouldn't have during a full moon. Like I said, the cost based on what round it is will dictate the base price for some of the adventurers on the adventurer purchasing market. Some adventurers are willing to take a little bit less during the full moon, and some adventurers are willing to ask for a little bit more during the full moon. And then, like I said, every third round there's a blood moon phase. During the blood moon phase, you'll be able to get an extra private contract into your private contract area. And then at the end of a blood moon phase, any face-up adventures or contracts that haven't been completed, those will be cleared from the board and new ones will come out. So the blood moon phase is a way for the adventurers and the contracts on the board not to get stale and stagnant. So that's kind of a little bit of an overview of the game. I didn't go into everything because I'm not Rodney Smith, but that's a little bit of the overview of Guildmaster. So now I want to talk about what I think about the game. The first thing that drew me to this game was the artwork. I think the artwork is just fantastic. I love the diverse characters. It's realistic, and you get to see men and women and different people of different races, and I think it's so well done. It's so well done. You don't have any chainmail bikinis. All the women are fully clothed, which I appreciate. It's good art. It's very thematic art too. It's fitting of what you would expect from a fantasy type game. The art, I think, is it's top notch. The gameplay, I really like the putting out the selecting your action, the action selection kind of thing where you're all doing it simultaneously. It kind of keeps the game moving a little bit. So you're not waiting for everyone to, I'm going to do this and this. So I do enjoy that. I think that kind of that tension of, well, I need to build buildings, but I also want to try and complete this quest so that, do I send my people to go build a building? Do I send my people to go do this adventure? Allocating your money as you're going before you reveal your screen and show what you're doing. So you have to choose how you're going to spend your money. With buildings, any extra coin is brought back if you build and you allocated more money, you get that back. But with adventures, like I said, essentially you're saying your adventurer is saying, hey, we'll pay you this much. And the adventurer may be like, okay, great, you're going to overpay me. I'm willing to take 7, but you're paying me 9. I'll take it. So I do like that. And the contracts are fun. It kind of reminds me of a game like Lords of Waterdeep with all the contracts, and you can make up stories for what your adventurers are going to do. So that's fun. I like that. I think I've played this game at 2, 3, and 4. I think it plays better at 4 players. You get a little bit more of that tension like I talked about. I think in 2 players, while you do have some cards removed in a 2-player game, I didn't feel that tension as much in a 2-player game. I think the game was, it's hard to say. It felt like it maybe took a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but at the same time, I understand the need for the 9 rounds because it gives you enough opportunity to ramp up to get those really good and legendary adventurers, use their abilities, and get some really cool legendary contracts out there that are going to give you lots of points, lots of money as rewards, and they'll also give you some abilities. So overall, on the no cube zone scale, if you will, of a 0 to 6, 0 being awful, 6 being I want to shout my love for this game from the rooftops, I think this game lands at a 3 for me. It's a fun game. I think it's thematic. I think with a group of people that want to play a thematic game, it's going to be a lot of fun. I tend to lean a little bit more towards the Euro side of the equation. I think it had those Euro-y things that I like. The dice felt a little swingy, and it may be just the people I played with, but there weren't many times where we would betray each other on the contracts. So, like I said, overall, I think it's a good game. I think I'm going to keep it in my collection as a 3. That's kind of the baseline of what I need to keep it in my collection. So yeah, that's what I think of Guildmaster. If you have any comments or if you've played Guildmaster, I'd love to read those below. You can comment. Like I said, I'd love to hear what you think about Guildmaster. Have you played it? Do you want to play it? If you want to play it, hit me up. Like I said, it's staying in my collection. I'd love to play it. I want to thank you so much for watching us here on YouTube. If you want to hear more from the No Cube Zone, you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We're at the No Cube Zone on all of those places. You can also join the Wisdom for Wizards Discord server. That's kind of the greater hub for No Cube Zone, as well as our sister show, the GG Party Chat. So we have board games, video games, cooking, home improvement, Star Wars, Animal Crossing, whatever you want to talk about, we've got a spot for you in our Discord community. If you want to join the Discord, I'll put a link below. You can also find a link on our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook pages. Again, this has been Jordan with the No Cube Zone, and thank you so much for watching.